I'm building a house in Minecraft, but every room is a different scene from K-Pop Demon Hunter. You'll see the Huntrix girls rocking out on stage, the Saja boys trying to foil their plans, and some juicy drama between Rumi and Rujinu. There's no way anything crazy will happen, right? Wait, I kind of ate this up. It's probably my fave out of all of my K-pop houses so far. And if you haven't seen those, go check them out on my channel. On the first floor, we have a hallway with a bunch of cool rooms. And then up the stairs, we have the second floor, which is where we're gonna start decorating. The first scene I'm building is obviously the airplane scene. This is where we officially meet the Huntrix girls. They're riding in their private jet, having so much fun carb loading before their biggest concert ever. It's also where they kick a bunch of demon butt, and we hear the song How It's Done. Dude, that food looks so good. I wish I could eat all of it. I vote the Moo crew take a foodie field trip to Korea. I could really go for some ramen. So as you can see, I purposely made this room extra long so I could make it look like the interior of an airplane. And on this back wall, I really wanted to match this part of the scene. So I figured I'd use a striped beige to match the back wall pattern. Now, thankfully, I have a really cool mod at my disposal. That way I can add the Huntrix logo, just like the movie. Now, I really want to find a light kind of similar to the one from the movie. Wait, these actually work so perfectly. Wait, these vertical panels would look great. Now it's time to tackle the seat situation. In order to stick as close to the original scene as possible, I'm gonna use these white sofas. And the sofas on the plane definitely have armrests, so I'm gonna add those. And they probably recline for some comfy sleeping. Now in the scene, you can see that there are cushions, so I'm gonna go ahead and add a pink one and a magenta one. Over on this side, there are 2 more chairs, except these are more like captain's chairs. So I'm gonna add these really cool frame slope panels to look like headrests. In the scene, we see 1, 2, 3, 4 more captain's chairs. So let's add them. And for some pops of color, let's add some cushions. And before we move on to this side of the plane, we obviously can't forget the Huntrix girls' food table, where we have noodles, sushi. We are gonna pretend that that's actually rice, and some pizza. And then right above the food, the Huntrix girls themselves. They are super pumped to have all of that food. Now let's tackle this side of the plane. We obviously also need an emergency exit door, so I'll go ahead and put one right here. And with a lever that'll turn green. And now I want to separate this room into a smaller room so I can put the captain's chairs here. Because someone has to fly this plane. In this scene, there is clearly an area where all of the snacks and beverages are stored. I wouldn't expect anything less from a private jet. And to complement the scene where the demon is pouring coffee into the plant, I'll put a plant and a tea kettle. Mainly because I don't have like a pourable coffee mug. All I have is this coffee machine and then the tea kettle, but I think it looks great. I also think that the demons playing around with the food cart is so funny. So I'm gonna put this fruit cart right here to represent that. I also just realized that the wall on this side of the plane is supposed to be beige as well, so let me go ahead and fix that. So we don't actually see the captain's quarters much in the movie, but I have seen what they look like IRL. There's definitely plenty of windows, and there's captain's chairs. And the captain's chairs have like, not necessarily recliner, but it's definitely like a little footstool part. So I'll go ahead and add that and we can turn it white. There's also a ton of screens everywhere. That way the plane doesn't go down. A bunch of levers, a bunch of buttons, and then there's usually this big control panel right in the middle where there's all kinds of fancy levers and stuff. And now the only thing that's left is the captain's steering wheels.
This is your Captain Maddie speaking. As it turns out, I don't actually know how to fly a plane. Brace yourselves because we're going down.
And now for some final touches. On this wall, we'll put the demons. And they say they're gonna eat their fans. But right over here on this wall, we'll put the Huntrix, who definitely aren't gonna let that happen. And this is gonna be a really tiny detail, but I know you'll be able to appreciate it. So I'm gonna make the windows match this scene where the Huntrix are kicking demon butt. And basically you guys know what happens next. The plane crashes, a lot of demons die, and then the Huntrix give a super awesome concert. And that's the How It's Done airplane scene. Next up, we have the bathhouse scene. And I'm actually gonna start by breaking down this wall. Or at least putting a big hole in it. This is the scene where the Saja boys are running from Huntrix and hide in the men's bathhouse. It's so funny because Zoe and Mira are so excited to finally get to go to the bathhouse with Rumi. But they were so bummed when they found out it was the men's bathhouse. But for this room, I'm actually gonna do a split floor plan and have a men's and a women's bathhouse. I just know Zoe and Mira are thanking me. So bathhouses in Korea are actually super private, so I'm gonna cover up some of these windows. That way we still get natural light, but there's a bit more privacy. Okay, that's more like it. And we'll put the bathhouse right above the door. One of the first things we see in this scene are the Huntrix girls ready to slay some demons. And then, unfortunately, we see the Saja boys, who's getting the water demons to handle their lightweight because I think they're scared. And now time to build the actual hot tub. So I'll probably start with the outline for it. And I don't want it to be too big, but I want it to be big enough. I'm also gonna add some slabs. That way it can be kind of poking up above the floor, but not like that much. That's just too big. And now let's fill it up with water. And now for one tiny little detail. Obviously it's not a hot tub if it's not hot, so I'm gonna add some fireplaces, some floorboards, turn those quartz to hide them, and now we have a real life hot tub. And now that the hot tub's done, in this corner I'm gonna put one of those hot water steam contraptions. And if you don't know what that is, basically you pour water on the stones and it makes it really steamy in here. I'll go ahead and do the fireplace trick again, and probably put some cute little panels on the sides to make it decorative. Here's the bucket where we get the water from, and then here are the utensils we use. And for a funny extra detail, a real-life picture of the hot tub from the movie. Now, once the Huntrix girls peeked their heads in and realized the Saja boys actually were in here, obviously they had to kill them. But it turns out the Saja boys were leading them into a trap, because the bathhouse was full of these horrible water demons. So now I'm gonna fill this bathhouse with the same water demons. I want to represent that they were actually coming out of the water, so I'm gonna dig these water holes and then stick them in so it looks like they're crawling up out of the water. That looks really creepy, but really good. They look just like the picture. And now I'll make sure to put plenty around the bathhouse. One of the funniest scenes ever was when Abby said, "I knew they would. That one's always looking at me." And then the girl said, "No, we're not." I think maybe they were. Also, it's so funny that they have popcorn coming out of their eyes. I bet Rujinu thought he was so sly when he ran out of the bathhouse. Although, he looked kind of silly doing it. But Rumi had other plans. This is going to be a snippet from my absolute favorite scene. So far, Rumi and Rujinu are actual enemies. I mean, Rumi is literally trying to kill Rujinu in the bathhouse. When Rumi finally catches up to Rujinu, they have a seriously cutie pie interaction. And Rujinu happens to find out that Rumi's actually half demon, but I think this is when he actually falls for her. So this is going to be the Museum of Rujinu. Now to set up the museum, I'll go ahead and put some picture frames down. I kind of want it to look like a slideshow from the movie, so that should be perfect. We'll start our visual journey with when Rumi finally caught up to Rujinu. Die, demon! And then Rujinu was like, "Dang, girl, you're really strong." "Wow, Rumi, babe. You're so strong, boss babe." Then the closer he looked, he saw that she had patterns. Plot twist! OMG! Patterns? On a demon hunter? I bet he was so surprised. Which obviously made our girl Rumi super self-conscious. Oh no, he saw my patterns. Poor girl. And one of the funniest / worst parts about this is all of this is going on while Rumi's friends Mira and Zoe are kind of about to die from water demons. Help us! But remember, Rumi just got exposed and her friends don't know. What are we gonna do? Demon Daddy Rujinu to the rescue! Look at her blushing. You can see the blush just like barely. Okay, queen. We see you blushing. And then obviously there's like the best pic of Rujinu like ever. I mean, look at his chain. Why is it in the air like that? And then, you know, after she finally catches her breath after all this happened, she realizes that her arm's been patched up. Gasp! He covered my patterns? Does he love me? And then thankfully Rumi's able to get back to helping her friends so they, you know, don't die. That was probably the most emotional whirlwind I've ever been taken on in a movie before. Now, I definitely want to emphasize that bathhouses aren't all bad. I mean, Zoe and Mira have been trying to go to the bathhouse with Rumi for like years, but she'd never go and they didn't know why. Obviously, we now know it's because she's like a demon and didn't want her friends to find out. But at at the end of the movie, they actually do find out and end up all going to the bathhouse together. And they have a great time. They also, like, cry a lot, but that's totally valid. And that's the K-pop Demon Hunter bathhouse scene. And now we head downstairs for the doctor's office scene. Rumi starts to lose her voice at a concert and she doesn't know why. Now we know it's because she was hiding secret shame, because you know she's a demon and all. But at the time, her friends Mira and Zoe didn't know she was a demon. Zoe told Rumi that she had the best ever doctor in mind that's helped countless celebrities before and could totally help her too. So they dress up incognito and snuck down to the doctor's office. I don't exactly know what this means in Korean, but this is the name of the doctor's office. The first thing we see in the doctor's office scene is the doctor's desk where he has a bunch of fancy qualifications and stuff. And here are 2 of his real life qualifications. And we'll pretend like this is one of the plates on the top shelf. And we'll place a bunch of books with another one of his little plates behind it. And he has this really cool statue head, but we're actually gonna use the creeper head. Right beside the bookshelf, he has all his other certificates. And now it's time for his actual desk, which I'll use the frame mod to make. Before I get to the office chair, I probably want to go ahead and give him a nice cozy carpet. Now I just need to find the perfect office chair. Okay, this one matches in color, but it's very tiny. Okay, why are all these chairs so small? I guess he could just have a tiny chair and like a really massive desk. At his desk, he probably has a computer with some table clutter, probably. A notebook where he pretends to make his schedules, but he really just wants autographs from all the K-pop stars. And a cup of coffee. Right beside the doctor's desk, he has some hangers. And that's where I'll put his lab coat. Rumi sees the doctor has helped a ton of celebrity patients, and that totally gives her some hope. So I'm gonna recreate the wall where he keeps all his pictures. It's so funny because Zoe was so encouraging, and Rumi was trying. And now let's build the waiting room where the Huntrix girls are sitting. We'll use a pink table, some magenta chairs, and some purple ones. And to match that theme, a pink and purple rug. I can only imagine the Huntrix girls in a waiting room. I bet they were touching all of the doctor's things and probably telling tons of jokes. And actually, they were reading magazines of themselves. And I'll go ahead and put more magazine holders down to represent that. In the background, we can see there's 2 different medical posters. Now, I didn't get the exact poster, but I did recreate one. And I almost forgot a shoe rack. In different countries like Japan and Korea, they typically take their shoes off before going in places, which is probably definitely the sanitary option. And now I'll hang a chandelier in the waiting room area. And then the doctor walks in. And after he introduces himself and they all bow, he goes over to the hospital bed where Rumi is and says, "Let me see." Rumi thought he wanted to look inside her mouth, but really he wanted to look inside her soul. And he could definitely see it with those big eyeballs. This is the part where I was so scared that Rumi's secret was about to be exposed in front of her friends. But thankfully the doctor didn't see anything too crazy. He also did it to Zoe and Mira, and their reactions were hilarious. After finally getting a diagnosis of closed off with a lot of walls, Rumi got her tonics. And then when they were headed out the door, Rumi saw this picture that was actually a fake. He put a sticker on a picture of them. He didn't actually meet them before. And that's the K-pop Demon Hunter doctor's office scene. Next up, we have the Soda Pop room. Not only did this scene give us the catchiest song ever, but it was the very first time we actually saw the Saja Boys perform. The colors are so iconic because they're all pretty, vibrant, purple, pink, lavender. I just love them. I want to start by making the giant soda pop can they sing and dance on. So I'll use yellow carpet and then make the rim of the can using these lavender lamp blocks. And now I'll put the Saja Boys front and center. And I love the little background behind them, so on this wall, I want to try and recreate that. I'll start by putting a bunch of random item frames up. Is it just me, or is it every time that I try and put something random up, it ends up looking like it's in a pattern? I'll start with these cutie little dancing stars. And now I'll place the hearts. And then these nether stars. And some sodas. And now for a couple fireworks. That's the cutest accent wall ever! Very much giving soda pop. When they were blowing hearts to the crowd, Mira was like, they can make hearts out of thin air? I think that's so funny. So in honor of that, I'm gonna make a little bitty heart area with some heart garland, some heart balloons, and a couple hanging heart lights. With a cute pink carpet. In the soda pop scene, the Saja Boys do an impromptu concert right in the middle of an outdoor shopping place. I want to make sure to include tables and chairs to represent that. And I think these cutie pie little diner tables work perfectly. At first I was gonna like mix the colors up and do different colored chairs with different colored tables, but then I decided not to. And I think they turned out really cute. I didn't even realize the view. That's one of my other K-pop Demon Hunter houses. And if you haven't seen it, what are you waiting for? Go watch it. Ah! Oh wait, actually, before you watch that video, finish this one. Okay, thanks. I have these super silly pictures of all of the Saja Boys' new fans that I'm gonna put on the wall. This guy was probably my favorite because he was so funny. That guy changed his shirt like 15 times in the movie. He kept bouncing from Saja Boy to Huntrix to Saja Boy to Huntrix. But at least we know he's a real fan. Ah, and I almost forgot. The Huntrix girls were not happy about their impromptu concert. I mean, duh, they were trying to steal their fans. And one of the really funny parts of the scene is when the Saja Boys were acting super nice, but the Huntrix didn't trust them, so they stomped on all the presents, corn dogs, and cotton candy to protect the fans. I bet they thought they were just doing what they were supposed to do. And then, of course, they invited everyone to watch them play games, which we all kind of know is where it started to go really downhill really fast. And that's what we're heading off to next. But first, we have to get battle ready. After finding out the Saja Boys were actually demons, Huntrix kicked into action and got super battle ready. It's giving Demon Hunter. Right here, we can put the vanity where they get battle ready, which looks a little bit like this. Ah! This was literally one of my favorite scenes from the movie. I was laughing so hard. And then they put on their boots, their awesome belts, all their beautiful bracelets, and obviously their nails that spell out Kill Saja. I didn't catch that the first time around in the movie. Did you? And then the girls were all battle ready. Meanwhile, the Saja Boys were on the game show Play Games With Us, drinking hot sauce? Yeah, you heard that right. Chugging hot sauce. The funniest part about this scene to me was definitely the Saja Boys wearing bibs and drinking out of baby bottles. Like, who puts hot sauce in a baby bottle? That's crazy. And it's so funny because the Huntrix girls are trying so hard to be sneaky, but once again, it's another trap by the Saja Boys. And Rujinu calls them out, and then they're all just like deer and headlights. And of course, we all know how that ended up. And now to spice up the set just a little bit, some paper lanterns and a really cool carpet. And that's the Play Games With Us scene. And now it's time for couch, couch, couch. Now the actual couch from the scene is massive. Plus the entire thing is white. And I'm pretty sure it has some really cozy footrests that are also white. And if you look really closely, you can see that there's a bunch of cushions on the couch. And now for the super cute carpet that goes under the couch. The carpet under the couch is actually so important. Normal people don't have that big of a rug under their couch, which shows that the Huntrix girls are obviously a big deal. If you couldn't already tell by their massive high-rise apartment. Ooh, and one more fun little detail we can add. I might not have built a high-rise apartment for the girls, but I definitely can give them big windows. And even better, I can make it nighttime outside to more accurately match the scene. When Bobby comes to their apartment to tell them that their new single, Golden, is exploding, you can see in the background all of their albums and records that have gone viral. And I definitely want to include that detail. And if you look even closer, you can see their records that went golden. And I'm definitely including that. Also in the living room, there's a scene from way earlier in the movie when Rumi loses her voice and the girls discuss going to the doctor. I wanted to include this scene because it's really sweet. Plus, we have noodles. Also, if you look really closely, there's some super cool posters on the wall behind them. I don't want to brag or anything, but these are really similar to what was actually in the movie. In the movie, we don't really get to see a ton of the Huntrix's kitchen, but we do get to see a tiny sliver of it, and we see that they have some really cool cyan chairs. That's so funny. They can eat their dinner while watching the Saja Boys on TV. Once the girls decide to give up their super nice couch break, they celebrate in their new outfits. In that scene, we see Bobby standing on a beautiful marble floor, which is a perfect place to put a dining room table. Now, in terms of dining room table, the girls aren't super fancy, and they would prefer just to have something white and simple. So that's exactly what I'll give them. Ah! It fits so perfectly! And that's like, several different scenes. Now, at the beginning of the video, I promised you'd see the Huntrix girls rock out on stage with your very own eyeballs. And I intend to follow through with my promise by building a music stage for the whole neighborhood. Ta-da! I'm gonna go ahead and start by changing the floor. Now, it's not exactly the same as the one from the movie, but it's the best I could do in Minecraft. We'll lay a couple mics around, have a super awesome drum set, a bunch of different guitars, and a keyboard. And now I'll go ahead and set up their stands. And here we have the Huntrix girls, ready to steal the Hunmoon. And that's the K-Pop Demon Hunter stage scene. Wow, guys, this was by far the most fun K-Pop Demon Hunter house I've ever built. If you haven't seen my other K-Pop Demon Hunter houses, go to my channel to check them out. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!